Makers Mark and a Louisville-based cigar company are suing each other in federal court over the bourbon business iconic red wax design. Makers alleges Ted's Cigars, owned by Theodore Ted Jackson Jr., is profiting off the brand's reputation by continuing to use its trademarks in selling and promoting its bourbon-seasoned cigars, but in a countersuit filed hours after the initial suit Tuesday, Jackson asserted the distillery is trying to enforce a trademark it knows is unenforceable, and that it has taken all reasonable steps to differentiate the two brands since an agreement between them ended in 2016. "For us, it was just utter shock to receive this complaint yesterday," Jackson said in an interview. More headlines: Texas chain sues Me Cocina saying the local spot is damaging brand. The relationship between Jackson and Maker's Mark Distillery began in 1996 when he created its special cigar for the company's annual Kentucky Derby party. The suit details. The following year, the two made a formal agreement that allowed Jackson to use the Maker's Mark trademarks, with 10% of net sales on the cigars going to Makers. Ted's began to make a variety of bourbon-seasoned cigars encased in glass tubes that were sealed with the recognizable red dripping wax seal. The design was created in 1958 by Marjorie Samuels, wife of Bill Samuels, who developed the bourbon recipe. Maker's Mark ended the agreement in December 2015, allowing the cigar company to sell off its inventory through June 2016. See also, 1,000-piece stained glass window to celebrate bourbon at Maker's Mark. Jackson claims Maker's Chief Operating Officer Rob Samuels, Marjorie and Bill's grandson, told him the decision to end the licensing agreement was over concerns of the effect of cigar sales on its liability insurance. In his court filing, Jackson said he spent $200,000 removing the trademarks from its cigars and marketing materials, with the exception of still using the Maker's Mark name to denote it's still an ingredient in the bourbon cigar. And while the red wax on the cigar packaging now has a straight edge and not a drip style as it once did, Makers maintains Jackson's product is still creating a false association between the brands. "For us, it was just utter shock to receive this complaint yesterday." Theodore Ted Jackson Jr. The lawsuit, filed in U.S. District Court in Louisville, demands that the cigar company stop using Maker's Mark trademarks. It also demands Makers receive triple the cigar company's profit from the alleged trademark infringement and for additional funds to pay for an effective corrective advertising campaign to undo the damage to its business. Jackson, however, contends Makers doesn't have a trademark over a straight-edge wax seal and that it moved forward with that design change in 2016 thinking the distillery wouldn't and couldn't object. The countersuit points to a 2002 incident in which Jackson learned that another cigar company was using a dripping wax design. The suit claims Maker's Mark, at the time, told Jackson it couldn't do anything because it didn't have any rights to dripping wax on cigars. Jackson also claims Maker's Mark gave up its rights to a straight-edge wax design in 2014. You May Like bakery that helps exploited women is expanding to downtown Louisville. The distillery's suit also points to several retailers who are advertising Ted's Cigars with the name Maker's Mark as well as individual people on social media who are associating the two brands, attempting to show that the company is misleading and confusing the public. Given that Ted's Cigars is a former licensee that previously had the right under the license agreement to produce and sell Maker's Mark branded cigars, it is no surprise that these retailers assume that Maker's Mark has authorized the continued use of its intellectual property rights in connection with the bourbon cigar, the suit reads. The suit cited one incident in which Maker's Mark received a complaint from a man who bought a Ted's cigar from an Ohio Kroger and injured himself when the cigar's glass casing shattered in his hand. In an interview, Jackson said, "To the extent of my ability to control any of that, his company sent notices to customers letting them know the agreement had ended. Particularly confusing," Jackson said, "is that Makers continues to sell his company the bourbon to make the cigars, and its parent company has purchased bourbon cigars from the company since the agreement ended. It says that you're good with the cigar, you like the cigar. You used the cigar," Jackson said. Chris Schaefer, a Maker's Mark attorney, declined to comment on the countersuit. Number 1 versus Number 2, how Louisville women's basketball stacks up against Notre Dame. Countersuit claims that Samuels emailed Jackson in April 2017 asking that Ted stop using red wax, dripping wax of any color, and the Maker's Mark name. No legal action followed, leading to Jackson's confusion when the suit was filed this week after more than a year of non-communication. He said, "He's better off autographing bourbon bottles than bullying a Kentucky company that has paid them millions of dollars through this contract," Jackson said. The cigar company claims it has been damaged by makers about face, as it has already invested hundreds of thousands in redesigning its brand, based off what makers had previously told the company. Jackson seeks a jury trial, unspecified punitive damages and no less than $2 million in damages. Reporter Matthew Glowicki can be reached at 502-582-4989 or mglowicki@courier-journal.com. Support strong local journalism by subscribing today. courier-journal.com/Matt. Read or share this story. https://www.courier-journal.com/story/news/crime/2019/01/10/makers-mark-company-lawsuits-over-wax-trademark/252-560-1002/